What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Gizzverse podcast, a podcast completely dedicated to King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard universe, the universe that the band has created, but the fans have sustained. What's up, everybody? My name is Tommy O'Neill.
I'm Brian Cintron.
I like how I did that as like a ring announcer. That was good. It was like
let's fight.
It was a solid intro. I was getting nice at it, buddy.
Yeah,
hey, everybody. Just want to say thank you, everyone who's listening to this right now. I'm hoping you guys listened to last week's episode, which is why you guys are listening this week. Thank you guys so much for all the awesome support and all the listens that we got. Man, super motivating to see how many people actually took the time out to listen to the podcast, listen to the episodes, download them, share them with people, message us about it. Wow, man, couldn't be happier with kind of the response that we got, which is why we're doing another episode so quickly. We did get a bunch of messages from people asking us when we're going to do another one, how we're going to do another one, what are we going to do next, all that kind of fun stuff.
And here we are, baby, back and better than ever, brother.
You know it, buddy. You know it. And we basically just wanted to turn out another episode, and we were like, oh, should we release sketches or should we do another one? What should we put in it? So we've been kind of going back and forth. So this episode we are releasing as a kind of communicative, if that's a word, episode, so that we could talk to the people and you guys can talk to us and we can address some of the emails and questions, some of the new stuff that has happened over the last few weeks with King Gizzard. If you can believe it or not, always new stuff happening with King Gizzard. Yeah, so we do have to kind of stay on top of it. That's what this episode's for. So we are going to talk about sketches. In the following episode, we're going to talk about sketches of Brunswick East in episode 4. This episode is, like I just said, you guys
free-flowing.
Yeah.
We just chatting about what we love. We doing what we do. Let's get this party started, Tommy.
Yeah, man. And we do want to say thank you to all the people that listen to the podcast who don't listen to King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Just kind of listen to it on a whim because they may know you or may know me. Some of my comedy fans had tuned in and they messaged me saying how much of a fan now they are of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. So I thought that was awesome. We're turning people onto the band who are not familiar with them just through our podcast.
That's so
that
wild.
Is so cool.
That's so cool,
That's
man.
so
I'm
awesome.
so stoked about that.
I couldn't be happier to do it either because this is such a great band, super prolific, and they've done a lot of great things for us. The least we could do is turn a couple people on to them. Speaking of which, everyone who commented on the Gizzverse cookie picture, thank you guys for doing that. Your input was hilarious. A lot of fun comments, a lot of fun messages. Got a couple cool memes that we'll be posting next week as well. I guess, I don't know if you guys know, but the resounding kind of vote went to the Stu pick, of course. So congratulations, Brian. Stu pick won.
Thanks. Yeah, Stu pick won. I think we kind of saw that coming. So I don't know if that was a super surprise. But the ironic part in all of this is I like yours more, man.
Well, that's weird, dude. That's weird. I guess it's because the cookie pick. Cookie's your favorite artist in the band, and
I mean, kind of, yeah. He kind of is. You know, I'm all about that cookie life for sure.
And I'm also your favorite friend, and I was close enough.
So it's like you see, yeah,
it's a win-win, dude. It was two favorite people,
best
one
of both
picture.
Worlds. Two became one. You know what I mean?
I'm super loaded, and it was a good picture. You know what I mean? Yeah, I could smell his tasty treats right next to him. He smelled like cookies and candy. It was delicious. It was good.
You that close to cookies, sweets, and treats, man. I mean, you can't forget that, man. You can't ever forget that.
Smelling so good. He smelled like a bakery. It was delicious. But everyone said that Stu's cheeky face, they loved it. They loved his little smile and smirk, which is why I would love it if you guys sent me your pictures that you guys have of the band members that you've taken with them. Preferably, if you guys are in the picture, we find that funnier. And their poses, they do take some funny pictures. They're a very, very funny bunch of guys. They got a great sense of humor, so I'd love to see you guys' pictures as well. Shout out to Heather. We don't want to give her last name away because she didn't reach out to the podcast.
Could
but
be
apparently
weird.
Somebody tagged her in the picture saying, hey, isn't this you, Heather? Something, photobombing this? And sure enough, it is.
Like,
we found the culprit.
It sure is.
Who's photobombing the Stu pic there in Vegas, which is hilarious. So it didn't take long. We just had to post one post on the Facebook King Gizzard fan page, and they came out right about, I don't know if they heard the podcast first or not and noticed that we were looking for, but Heather, if you do listen to this, hit us up. We're going to make merch out of your
Shout
face,
out, girl.
so we love to have your permission first.
How funny, dude. I didn't think we'd find her till like season 14, episode 936. Like, no way.
Me either.
No, that's so weird. Shout out. Like, the internet, funny thing, guys. A funny thing.
It is a pretty amazing thing that it didn't take that long. But Facebook is kind of like that, you know, especially in the Gizzverse. Everyone's connected. You know what I'm saying? We're all a part of the Nonagon, that Nonagon tramp stamp.
Nonagon tramp
stamp. Your Nonagon tramp stamp yet, bro? You know what I'm saying, dog?
Yo, that, boom. You just changed the game. That's going to be our King Gizzard cover band right there, man. Nonagon tramp stamp, brother.
A cover band, the hardest cover band of all time. Are you kidding me?
So hard, man.
Get 80 million members to that band up on stage. Everyone's playing one drum at a time. You know what I mean? The most complicated stuff ever, dude.
For real. That's gonna be tight.
So hard.
So, guys, if you want to join the 638 piece ensemble, please let us know. We're looking for a lot of members, I guess.
Yeah, that's what this podcast is really about, our search for cover band members so we can start our own King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard cover band called Nonagon Tramp Stamp. So come on in, guys. Let's open the door to my butt crack.
Bust it wide open.
Shout out to my man over in Melbourne, Hayden Bleachmore. I hope that's how you pronounce your name, bud.
Hey, buddy.
Really, really cool messages, really cool back and forth. Thank you for all the kind words for the podcast. You're super, super nice guy. We did get a bunch of we got over 50 emails and messages, and then we got a bunch of comments too. So I'm not going to go over all of them, but we do appreciate every single person that reached out. Hayden, he reported that in Melbourne when he went to Gizzfest that King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard definitely did not play sketches. So, nor did Alex go.
Then. Okay.
Yeah. So what we heard was correct. So we are going to update. You know, from last show, basically they didn't play sketches at Gizzfest, which is weird because Mile High Club was there, right, Brian?
Yeah. They were there. They had in the Melbourne one, they had a set prior. Yeah.
So, like, right before, and Alex easily could have just stayed up on stage and jammed a little Rolling Stone, but I don't know. Maybe I have a feeling that Giz, their set right now is a little too heavy for, I'm not going to say a slower song, but definitely an instrumental that doesn't really vibe with the rest of the stuff that they got going on, especially if they're open up with Digital Black and that kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't really flow, but Hayden did let us know they are not playing that. Hayden also hosts his own podcast, Weekly Muniz. It's a show dedicated to Frankie Muniz, which I thought was funny at first.
The legend, Frankie Muniz.
Yeah, the legend, the American legend, Frankie Muniz, which I thought was awesome that he's doing a podcast on him. Very funny. But apparently, I didn't know this. Not apparently, but I definitely didn't know this. But apparently, Frankie Muniz has amnesia after he got in a car accident because he's a race car driver guy, and that's what he did after Malcolm in the Middle. I guess he acted a few other roles and then decided he was going to race stock cars and stuff. So he got in a car accident, which is horrible, man. I would never wish ill on anybody, but he got amnesia and doesn't remember working on the show Malcolm in the Middle that he spent his entire childhood doing, basically. He grew up on that show. Man. Truly insane. And I guess his dad on the show, the guy from Breaking Bad, what's his name?
Bryan Cranston?
Brian Cranston. Yeah, you guys are Bryan brothers, so of course you know that.
Yeah, dude, from birth.
And you guys are both super talented actors. Let's not get that flipped and twisted.
Top notch, yeah.
You guys are. If there was a second pick for Breaking Bad, it was definitely you. If they were looking for a Puerto Rican, it was going to be you, buddy. It was going to be you.
Oh man, that would have been plot twist. That would have been great.
Yeah, super great. So yeah. Oh my God, I was just going to say a horrible joke. Anyways, Frankie Muniz, the show, check it out. Weekly Muniz. It's a very funny podcast. Hayden Bleachmore is a good guy and a very funny entertainer as well. We're going to be bringing him on the show, as well as my boy, Dave Pyrovich. I'm sorry. I'm also retarded, guys. I'm mildly stupid, and I can't, read certain names.
Mildly stupid.
It's a... Okay, whatever. Whatever, dude. Pyrovich is probably a Russian name, and I'm guessing. But shout out to my boy over there in Massachusetts for the awesome, super nice things. He commented on almost all of our media outlets, and then sent me a message asking to be on the show, as well as I got to be honest, that was the biggest overall, majority comment / message that I got, were people asking and wanting to be on this show so we can interview them and talk to them about King Gizzard,
which is super cool, man. That's awesome.
Super cool, and we'd be more than happy to do it, but technologically speaking, it's really not possible right now. Unfortunately, Brian is in Orlando at a studio that is, completely separate from internet access. It's specifically a recording studio.
Right.
By the way, shout out to Orlando Studios for letting us use their facilities again this week. We really appreciate it for letting us getting down. They're trying to go watch Star Wars today, so we got to get in and get out as soon as we can.
We got to get out of here, man.
We got to get in. We got to be out. Star Wars. Speaking of which, we saw that, right? That was
Killer
super
flick,
good.
man.
What a
Killer
great movie,
flick.
dude. Oh my gosh, super good movie. So good, it's making me want to watch Phantom of the Menace, the worst movie that they ever made.
Yeah, you ain't lying.
So we will be bringing people on to interview once Brian actually moves out to Los Angeles early next year. We will have the technology in front of us to where we can actually have people on the show through Skype, record their live stuff. I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't know if we're gonna do like a pre-interview thing. We're gonna write to them, figure some stuff out, or if we're just gonna do it live, as 100% live, record it, and then add it into the podcast later on, which sounds like the more fun way to do it, because then you never know what's happening, and we can, talk to people and have fun with them and all that stuff. Keep it light, fun, and a good humor about everybody. I think it would be an interesting
that's
time.
a good idea. I feel like there's probably an interesting character or two listening to this right now, man. I can call in and really drop some.
We want to have that character, and we want to have those characters on the show.
Yeah, of course we have to. Yeah, if you're part of the Gizzverse, you in this, baby. We all in this.
We all in this, baby.
Come on, man.
Also, shout out to Michael and all the other kind people that sent us just compliments. Thank you guys for doing that. You have no idea how awesome that makes people feel when you're sending them compliments via the internet and commenting on the project that they're putting together. That's so nice of you guys to do that and to take the time out of your day to even listen to our podcast, but then send us a message on top of it. Thank you guys. Some of you guys sent me 5 paragraphs of how you enjoyed the show, and I mean, God, thank you. It made me feel super good. Yeah, and also is the reason why we're doing these shows so quickly. We weren't planning on releasing them this month. We plan on doing it next month just because we didn't want to take advantage of the hospitality of Orlando Studios. So
for sure,
we begged them, let them know how positive a response we got, and that kind of coerced them into letting us use their facilities again. Also because they're insanely nice people. Shout out to Jackie and Mick. We really, really, really appreciate it, Mickey. Hey. Hey. So that was that. That's all the nice words that we have to say for everybody. And
thanks.
We also encourage
Keep
you guys
listening.
to reach out. Of course. And we also encourage you guys to reach out to us again if you guys have any suggestions. We have a list already of people that we are going to bring on the show, so we're going to start compiling that up and reaching out to you guys independently so you can kind of prepare yourselves and know when it's going to happen, and then we can Skype it in, Skype the interviews, and hopefully it'll be a fun little additive to the show. So we can do these once or twice a month as well.
Yeah, rock and roll.
Yeah. And Merry Gizmas, by the way, Brian. Merry Gizmas.
Merry Gizmas.
Merry Gizmas. It is that time of year again.
That's good. I like that.
Where King Gizzard is bringing us gifts and sharing it to the masses. Of course, 100% for free. They released it on YouTube because they're amazing. They released 2 new songs, brand new songs that will be on their next upcoming 5th final album of the year. The first song that they released is All Is Known, which is a jammy
Such a rockin' little tune.
Quick and rockin', about 3.5 minutes of nonagon feeling old school rockin' jamminess. Pretty straightforward. It makes you stand up and kind of kick the bucket around a little bit. You gotta punch a wall.
Kick
you're jamming.
Bucket around, boing.
Hey man, all is known. The lyrics are pretty deep. The ones that I can understand. I didn't have the lyric sheet in front of me. Obviously, I don't think it's been written yet, so I didn't even look for it. But maybe it has been. Maybe I'm stupid. I didn't do enough research, guys. That happens. But if it is out there, message me it, and I'd love to read it because, that stuff's interesting. I like reading the lyrics. I always think it's one thing and then it's another.
That's my favorite, man.
And,
oh boy, yeah, you do, man.
You love it when I don't know the lyrics to something. It's your favorite thing ever.
So
but I
good.
sing
It's
it with pride. This band is this band has forced me to read more lyrics in my entire life than I've ever spent doing ever. The second song that they came out with is "Beginner's Luck." It's a great little luck. Yeah, it's a great little soft tune. You can hear some harmonica playing in the background. It kind of has that old school 60s, almost 50-ish trippy vibe to it, soft and dreary. You had an interesting analysis of it. What did you say to me when you first called me?
Arguably interesting, yeah, for sure. I said it's my favorite Beatles song since their Inner Speaker album. Which I know, which can throw some people off a little bit when I mention things like that.
When you say that stuff, no, because the Beatles. Me personally, I'm not like a giant fan of the Beatles. Personally, like they're, I understand it's a generational thing. Like I'm sure, if I grew up in it, I would think they're a lot cooler than I think they currently are. But I do think that they whatever. I don't want to get into this argument. That's a whole other set. That's a 30-minute conversation to have. We don't have time for that. This is the King Gizzard podcast. We need to focus on it. But the Beatles are the most contrived band on the face of the planet. They stole from Chuck Berry more than any other band ever. If Chuck Berry even remotely, I don't know why he would ever play with John Lennon, but he ended up playing with John Lennon on a tour after they ripped off Chuck Berry for years and years and years and years and basically stole rock and roll from him. I'm not a fan of the Beatles. Not a fan of the Beatles. But this was my favorite Beatles song, Beginner's Luck. It was definitely my favorite Beatles song. It's hilariously good, man. Yeah, I loved it. The lyrics were great, soft, dreary, kind of had that spooky vibe to it. Stu, Ambrose, and Joey seemed to be singing on it. At least Stu and Ambrose. Joey, is kind of a question mark for me. It could be him, could be another member of the band. I don't know. I can't really tell until they release all that information. But it's so good. It's uplifting. It's eerie. It's good. It's all the way good.
Yeah, it's super good. I like them both quite a bit. I think All Is Known is a little more up my alley. I mean, I like them both, but I like the kind of like orb sound / like Billabong Valley sound it's got going on a little bit. It's jammy. Yeah, it gives me, just the title. I think this next album is going to be, I think we will know some things in this next album for sure.
Interesting. I'm not so certain on that. I think this album is less conceptualized. I think it's more of a standalone, and I'm only saying that based on the interview that I read by Karen Gui. Shout out to Karen Gui.
Yeah,
she wrote
great interview.
The greatest band of the year. I think the title of it, the greatest band of the year, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Well deserved.
Hold on, I just want to make sure I'm reading this right. Band of the Year, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Can't Stop, Won't Stop, and Don't Need to Stop. A great article, a good read if you guys haven't done so yet. It is on Consequence of sound.net. You can check it out there. Karen Gui, she sat down and interviewed Stu, and quite interesting stuff. I mean, they talked about the new album, the way they're recording nowadays versus how they recorded Nonagon Infinity and all the prior albums, how the tour of Nonagon kind of burnt them out, which I found very interesting. Yeah, and basically Stu wanted a whole new set of material to work with, and he definitely did. He definitely did.
He did. Mission accomplished this year then, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So the new album, to me, it does sound like it's going to be less conception, less thematic, if you will, and more of a string of songs that don't necessarily blend together, but they had a bunch of these songs left over from the last 4 albums, believe it or not, that they didn't have a place for. So they needed a place to put them, so they're going to put them into this 5th album. And some might say that sounds a little scary or whatever, but I think they have a previous album that shows the versatility and ability to do this. Is Oddments, so this could be an Oddments 2 type scenario where, yeah, a 2.0 or something like that, where we get a feeling of the songs stand alone, I guess, is where I'm trying to get at. Versus the other albums, you look at Murder of the Universe, even Lord of Lightning, without that intro, it's not as... it's good. It's good by itself, but with that creepy little narration in the background, it really pulls you into the world. And
it does. I love that little intro, man. I always hear, not always, but 90% of the time, I'm busting the intro first for sure. Even though Murder the Universe, I'm usually just letting ride, but yeah, for sure, the intro's tight.
Definitely. I do think that so, it's not for everybody. The narration rock
Definitely
is not 100% for everybody. So if I was showing a brand new King Giz fan, I wouldn't start with Murder of the Universe, but maybe there's some songs on Murder of the Universe that I would start showing them. Lord of Lightning being one of them, of course, one of my all-time favorite songs by them. But yeah, the new album is going to be less thematic, and the way they're recording nowadays, according to Stu, which I found incredibly inspiring, is that they're treating their music career as a job and less of a fun, getting together jam thing. They basically are paying for their own studio space and their own, recording equipment, and they just go there and they jam in their own little facility. And they're treating it like a 9-to-5 job that they can pop in and pop out whenever they want and get this stuff done as quickly and kind of organized as possible, which is so inspiring, especially for creative people and people who are doing stuff with their dreams. And I do stand-up comedy, so like it is a lot of the times where I just have downtime where I don't have to do anything if I don't want to.
Right.
But hearing that kind of stuff, it's very highly motivating to know that people that I respect and that are younger than me, frankly, are working that hard to produce that amount of art. It's very inspiring. It's very inspiring. I mean, I just got chills saying that.
No, seriously, dude. Yeah. It is inspirational, man. It definitely gets us off the couches and doing certain things. I mean, look, we're making a podcast about it, about how much we appreciate it, how much we enjoy it, and how much everybody else is obviously also, man. So it's really cool for sure.
I agree with you, and I think they're not just the creative output, but also the attention to detail that they place into their art is really unique. They are clearly thinking about things, except for when Stu actually said, I guess, half drunkenly after an interview, it was like at the butt end of the Nonagon tour. He said this in an interview. I found it so fascinating that he said the 5-album thing kind of half drunkenly after a show and didn't really intend on it until he said it and heard it the next morning and was like, oh, well, I guess I got to stick to that. So I love that's how that came about. There's not a lot of thought process that went into it. Just, you know what? Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, man. Hey, mate, I'm going to do this. Yep. So I thought that was awesome. It was really cool that he's, no matter how inebriated he is when he gives his word, he sticks to it. I love it. That's a good kid.
Get it, boy.
Kid.
Hell yeah.
I love it.
Doing it.
Yeah, man. For sure. It definitely keeps things into perspective because, I mean, only bands in the 60s were doing stuff like this. They're so prolific, releasing 5 albums in 1 year and, I mean, taking giant steps and leaps into different territories. Wow. It's so inspiring, and I'm so glad to be alive in the time when we get to hear it fresh,
Fresh, man, exactly. Yeah, because there's gonna be kids growing up one day and they're gonna idolize these guys too, just like the way that we do, but in kind of a different feel because we were living through it, seeing them in shows in their youth, not when they're like 64 or whatever. It's good, man. Rocking.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see them that late in the game. Like I don't know what the future of King Giz holds, which is kind of an exciting thing because it does always feel like the band is on the edge of never existing again. Like they're so prolific that they could just disappear into the ether and it'd be like, what happened to them? That's how mythical I feel like that band is.
And we couldn't even be mad because we already have like 12 albums to enjoy for eternity. You know what I mean?
And they worked harder than some bands work their entire careers. In the past 2 years, they've worked harder than most bands do their entire careers and have toured and just busted their butts. And it really shows because they are reaping the benefits. Their fan base is strong. Their album sales are good. I mean, in the interview, he said that the reason they released Polygon Wonderland for free was because he felt bad about how much money the fans were giving them, so he wanted to give like a present out to them. Like,
asking
who does that?
Fans again, like, hey, come scoop this one up too. Which
right.
I mean, we would have done happily also, but yeah,
I think the majority of fans would absolutely do it.
Yeah, for sure. Always.
I would have done it. I would have definitely paid for it. There's no question about it. But it's cool to see the insight of an artist that you respect, somebody that you look forward to, the lyrics, all that stuff. And at the same time, going back to what I said, it feels like they're so mythological and so prolific that every chance you get to go see them, you should take advantage of that situation and go see them. I don't care if you have to drive out of state. If they're only in a nearing city or whatever the case, get tickets, go see them. If you haven't seen King Gizzard live, you have not experienced King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. This band is too good live. They are perfect. They're absolutely fucking perfect. There's no other way to put it. Their live performance is maniacally beautiful.
Get your homies together. Get a rental car if you need to. Just go wherever you got to go. If it's in the country you live in, you got no excuse, homie. Get out there.
Take a megabus. Take a megabus, baby. I've megabus, man.
You did that.
I've megabus. Come on, baby. You know this. You know this, man.
I know this.
Speaking of which, how does Brian sound this week, guys? Is his reverb rocking?
Hey. Do I sound trippy, guys?
Trippy. A lot of messages last week about Brian's reverb. We can't really control that 100% at the moment, but we will take care of it. Deal with it for now. But it sounds kind of trippy, right? You can hear a little echoey.
Can you hear me, crazy? Yeah.
Speaking of Gizmiss, Caitlin, a good friend of Brian's.
Oh my God! Yeah.
And she's a good friend of mine, too. I'm not, segregating here. She's a lovely lady, a lovely coworker of yours and a good friend. We went to the Growlers concert. All of us did.
Yes,
had a great time back in Orlando at the Plaza. The Growlers. Shout out to the Growlers. Such a good band. An LA-based group, Beach Goth. If you guys haven't listened to them, definitely give them a check out.
For sure.
All their albums. But their last 2 albums are dope. Anyways, Caitlin made you some awesome Christmas presents that I'm totally jealous of. Why don't you tell the listeners
I'm glad
about
you
them,
brought that up. I was so stoked, man. I was thunderstruck a little bit, man. It kind of hit home. You know what I mean? Just like that. Yep. That was my reaction. 100%. Yeah. I struck gold on my Secret Santa this year at work. The lovely Caitlin got me a paper mache vinyl. That was beautiful. What a great start. She got me a special cookie from New York, if you know what I'm saying. It's a yummy, wacky cookie from New York.
I don't know what you mean. What do you mean? What's a wacky cookie? Does it have like sprinkles on it?
I'll give you a piece and you let me know.
What?
the most flabbergasting, the most yummalicious part of the gift was she made me a hat. It's a black dad hat. Okay, it's a
dad hat.
Black. I mean, it's a black hat. It's not like an African American father's hat or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I got you.
Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah. I don't want there to be any confusion on that. Yeah. A dad hat,
black
though.
Dad hat. Like, did she steal it from African American
man? Poor guy. He needs a side back. Damn it. Yeah. So
or Aborigine The guy from the river.
Yeah, the little river croc. You know what I mean? So
the little river croc.
The little river croc. Black hat with the little river croc on it, guys. It's beautiful.
That's adorable.
I don't think I'm doing it justice yet. I will take a picture of it. We will throw it on our brand new Instagram. That's a Gizzverse podcast. All one word, Gizzverse podcast. It flows just as smooth as me and Tommy do. Come follow us as brand spanking.
That's on the Instagram. So at Gizzverse podcast.
Yep, that's us. Come check us out. I'll throw a picture, maybe in the next couple of days for sure, of the beautiful hat. Comment on it. Tell Caitlin you love her. She's on Instagram too at Bad Vegan. Follow her at Bad Vegan. She's dope.
Yeah, you can also follow us. I'm at Tommy O'Neill 1. And Brian, what's yours? At Beatron or something like that?
Beatronathon, baby, because they don't stop. You get it, Brian? Since you're on Beatron, Beatronathon means it's me all day, all night. Don't stop, can't stop.
Damn, that's so cool that she did that. She also made that comic book of you guys, which is she's a super sweet, creative person. So that's so cool that she got you those awesome King Gizzard kind of fanny type things. Those are cool. It's a great Christmas present.
Thanks, baby.
Such a good.
While
we're doing shout outs. While we're doing shout outs, shout out to our buddy Joe. Last the first podcast we did, the first podcast we did, we gave a shout out to my fiance, Allison. She drove us to Las Vegas, so we gave her a shout out. And Joe reminded us by sending us a comment, which is a lot of text messages, a lot of comment, or 8 million comments, that we didn't mention. His girlfriend drove us to the Atlanta show we went to recently, which is very true. So shout out to Gabby. I don't want to give her last name out because we don't name names unless they want to be named, and then we'll name names. But Gabby, shout out to her for driving us to Atlanta, putting up with the Goon Squad, 3 deep in the back, Joe up front, jamming music the whole time,
and a Toyota Corolla, guys.
Smoking illegal tobacco out of a pipe the whole time.
I mean, allegedly. I don't think anybody. You don't have proof. You don't know that.
Wait,
you don't remember.
No, I'm living in Los Angeles. I could say it. Cannabis. We were toking on some cannabis. I'm legal. I got a card.
You're
toking on some
cannabis
the whole way. Yeah, you're not legal. You can't talk about
dude.
it. Yeah, I know, bro. That's the ups and downs. That's them ropes. But I did have, man, I had a blast at the Atlanta show. We went to that awesome restaurant, ate dope. Some awesome sandwiches, drank some fairly priced beverages.
Tasted beer. Strong.
Tasted beers.
10.5.
Like $3. Dude, like $3 for, level 10 alcohol percentage. I don't know why I had to say it like that. God,
level
so
10.
Weird.
I mean, it doesn't get higher than that. It's just top notch.
10% alcohol percentage in these beers for $3. They gave them to us in chalices. I guess it was like a home brewery or something like that. I forget. Vortex is the name of the restaurant.
Wow, you were
Vortex.
Wow, dude. Yes.
Dude. I pulled that out of the ether.
Where did you get that?
Out of the ether. Vortex. Text.
Shout out to them, man. Damn.
Yeah, shout out to Vortex for taking care of us and putting up with my inappropriate behavior. I may or may not have told a slightly inappropriate story about a midget and a young lady that I heard a freaky story after one of my shows recently that I did, and I might have got too loud in the restaurant, but I'm not going to tell that story. We don't have time for right now. We're already running on 30 minutes, so we are going to have to jet through the rest of this podcast to get to the end. I'm not going to share that story right now.
What a little side note, guys. Yeah, just a little wacky story.
Teaser,
but...
little wacky story about a midget and a lady after a show at a comedy show that I did. I was headlining in a Florida spot, and just this crazy thing. I'll talk about it in one of the upcoming shows. I promise you guys. I promise. It's a good one. It's a good one.
If you want to hear, I don't know if everybody wants to hear, but we'll see.
They want to hear about the midget story. You want to hear about it. Trust me, guys. It's a good one. It's a good one. So we did end up having a blast at the Atlanta show. That was one of the biggest, craziest times I've ever had in my life. I mean, that show was jam-packed. The bottom portion of it was at a theater, and the bottom portion was just packed to the brim of people going absolutely insane.
Really nice spot.
I mean, the first 3 songs I was tired from immediately. I mean, they played Digital Black right off the bat. Then they played Lord of Lightning, and then they followed that up with Cellophane. Just a perfect combination of madness.
How do you start with those 3 songs? It's like not even fair, man. Like, what?
It's not fair for the fans because I was exhausted, and I was still losing my mind for the rest of the show. Don't get me wrong, guys. I lost weight at that show. I dropped a person at that show. Not like punched him in the face. Like my body, I dropped a person.
Yeah, we walked out, and it was kind of chilly. It was a little chilly. We walked out like into the real world again, just dripping sweat, like our shirts just wet with everybody else's juices. It was something else for sure. Like every King Gizzverse show, though.
I was a little too inebriated to be in public at that time.
Yeah, shit.
My third eye might have been a little open. I don't know if you know what I mean.
It was busted wide open, brother.
A little busted wide open. So it was a little weird being back in society after losing my mind during King Giz. But maybe some of you guys know what I'm talking about. But I had a great time, man. I had to take a mega bus back to Orlando, unfortunately, because I had some shows to hit up. So I know a thing or two about mega buses, guys. Don't be afraid of them. They're beautiful. So I had to go back down to Orlando and finish out my tour. That I came down there to do a comedy tour, and I ended up going to see a bunch of shows while I was back.
Perfect. Best case scenario.
This is best case scenario. It truly was. But you guys got to go to New Orleans, which, from what I heard, was a blast. You had a good time.
New Orleans was amazing, man. That concert was a lot of fun also. And so it was like, I might be wrong here. I think the drive from Atlanta to New Orleans is about 8 hours. So Tommy went to the mega bus. Me and the rest of the goons, if you will, just started driving.
The Goon Squad.
We stopped, got some chicken and waffles, of course. You know, we're in Atlanta, you got to. So then, and then we had a little breakfast, drove straight, did the straight ride, and then that night had the New Orleans show, which I gotta admit, we took kind of a back seat. You know, we weren't balls deep, if you will, in the pit and whatnot, and it was really cool. It was equally as enjoyable. Like, it's kind of take kind of like a step back and see everybody else is going nuts, and like, but you're seeing the show a little more clear. I don't know if you can see me at the moment, guys, but I wear glasses, so when I'm going in super heavy, I take off my glasses. So there's certain aspects of the show that
oh yeah,
you know what I mean. So maybe I'm kind of missing certain things, even though I'm right there, man. I'm seeing what's going on, but yeah, it was cool to kind of step back and see that perspective for once, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, you get that perspective when you watch videos of them live, but rarely when you're losing it in the pit. You don't get to see everything necessarily that's going on stage.
Right.
And when you step back, you get to see the intricacies of the band and start seeing their interactions and relationship with each other on stage, and it's cool to see that stuff. I think it's very enlightening is a word that I want to use, but it is very cool. It's very cool to see.
We can use that word, yeah.
Yeah, it's super, super interesting to get both those. I haven't done that, so I'm a little jealous. But every time I'm at a show, I hear that first note go on. I'm like, uh-oh, Daddy's going to lose it. And I just go buck, man. I have a good old time.
I will say, coolest part about kind of pulling back and seeing the show from, not a distance, but just kind of like hovering above a little bit, was during this New Orleans show, and if anybody else was there, comment on how funny and epic this shit was. When they're in the middle of, they're doing Robot Stop, where they have that little like hot water ditty. So in between that, it stops. Joey stops the music midway. Whoa! Stop the music! Stop the music!
Hey!
What are you doing, man?
Stop!
What are you doing, man? He's pointing the crowd. What are you doing, man? What the fuck are you doing, man? And it's just like some dude that gets punched another guy or whatever. And he's like, hey, quit that shit, or you getting the hell out of here. And like, of course, the whole crowd's like, Joey, we love you.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there,
it is cool.
Joey, pull it out. Like, it was epic.
Awesome.
That was cool to see for sure.
It is cool that King Gizzard takes care of their fans. When we were in Las Vegas, the security guard was getting a little rough and tough with some of the audience members. Like, the security guard placed himself in the middle of the mosh pit and was like trying to fight people in the mosh pit. And Stu and Joey were just berating the security guard like, they're fine, mate. You just get off then. Hey, get off then. And it was awesome to see how protective they are of their fans and how they're not going to put up with someone getting hurt at their show. I love them for that, and they are very conscious of it, dude. And believe me, you do not want to be called out in the middle of a show sold
your
out
favorite
like
band
that.
in the history of the world, yeah.
Oh my God, dude. If you thought embarrassment, you've met embarrassment before, you are wrong, sir. That is the most embarrassing thing on the face of the planet for hundreds of people to be staring at you and cheering in your opposition. Holy crap, that's hilarious. And you also got to see... Go ahead.
This is King Gizzard, man. This isn't like, if you listen to King Gizzard's music, man, it's not like, there's not these violent angles like where you're coming after the fans and stuff like that. Dude, this isn't like a Slayer or like a Pantera show. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing fighting at this show? Like, I know New Orleans can definitely get a little wild for sure, but there's no need to be fighting. Definitely the funnest part of that was like the whole thing probably took 2 minutes where they're like, yo, Mickey, what are you doing, man? Don't do that. And then they look at each other and just right back into it, like
right back into it, dude.
Miss a step. It was so good, man.
They're so good about that. And you got to see them on the street. You got to... Did you guys get to stalk them on the street?
So we're driving around town, like going to the French Quarter, because like we in New Orleans we were able to stay a couple days, so we're partying more like Bourbon Street, all that good stuff. We're driving the French Quarter, and who do we see? Lo and behold, we look out the window. It's like all 7 dudes.
The Lords of Lightning.
The Lords of Lightning just holding it down. And our buddy Joe, he yells out, "King Gizzards, King!" And a couple of them turn around and they're like throwing us the deuce. And then from there, of course, we're on Bourbon Street, man. So we're gonna be drinking throughout the day. So we start. I don't use the word stalking, but following them very closely on Instagram. All right,
trying to figure out where they were plotting to go.
Yeah. So we're just like, I don't know. It got to a point where we had like too many beers that we almost like didn't want to see them. But guys, man, we freaking love you, brother. Oh my God, Joey, you stopped the show, man. That was crazy. Cookie,
like too loaded to be casually talking to your like favorite band of all time. You know, that's like a weird, super drunk.
Yeah, so we got it, but it was funny. Like they were definitely we were all hanging out in the relatively same area. It was cool, man. That was a good time.
We are running a little short on time today, so we are going to have to bolt through the rest of this. But I do want to mention something that I heard on the streets, that Brian, you actually drove for the first time this trip.
Oh my God.
At all. For the first time ever. Like, you don't drive. I've known you for a long time. I've had a car since I was like 15, 16 years old. And I've been driving you around since then. Like, since 16 years. I'm 29 years old now, so I've definitely... you've had a car since then. You have a beautiful Honda.
For a long time.
There's no questions about it. You've got a beautiful Honda Civic. It's an amazing car. Or Accord, right? It's an Accord.
Yeah, fancier, man.
Right?
Okay, yeah, it's an Accord. All right.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Come
okay,
on, man.
Whatever.
What am I, poor?
Nothing
Come
wrong
on.
with it. It's a beautiful car. It's got a moon roof. It's great. It's a good vehicle. But
fire.
You just don't drive it at all. When someone offers a ride, you take advantage of it. You're like, you know what? No problem.
Of course.
I don't need to drive.
I lived kind of far from where I work. I'm driving all the time, dude. I drive heavy duty, you know what I mean? And the number one, our friend Joe says this is my epic downfall or whatever, is my lack of willingness to drive on road trips. Listen, I get a little paranoid, you know what I mean? Especially driving somebody else's car. I feel a little weird sometimes, all right? Sue me.
Yep.
Kill me now.
Yep. Yeah, and you're usually a little loaded too. That has something to do with it.
Yeah.
But for the first time you drove, which is good for you. I'm proud of you. But I personally burned through 3 cars just knowing you as a friend. You know what I mean? Like I've ruined 3 vehicles just being your homie. So I know
every
this
dime.
I'm proud. My point is, I'm proud of you, okay? And I know Joe can be a little rambunctious sometimes because he sent us about 38 million texts and messages about the podcast and his opinions on them.
Some highs, some lows.
Our friend Joe is a good friend of ours, good friend of the show, good friend of the podcast.
Ski-U.
Sergeant Ski-U, the creator of Ski-U, he had some comments and questions, and we're probably going to bring him on eventually to the podcast, unbeknownst to him, and give him kind of his own segment called Joe's Right. Whether he likes it or not, he's coming on. He had some opinions. When asked directly about those said opinions, apparently he didn't have any opinions, but when you text him about it, he's got lots of opinions. So
he's at a 5 a.m. after a few dozen Rolling Rocks.
38 beers?
Yeah. There's usually an opinion or two to have for sure.
One or two. He mentioned to us switching the intro songs, which we may or may not do
That could be a thing.
For legal reasons. Yeah, it's a copyright issue, so we do have to be careful which songs we use. It could be a thing in the future. We are going to go through which ones. I've read a whole bunch of legal jargon to figure out sampling laws and all that crap. So I don't think King Gizzard would sue us by any means, but eventually we would like to have advertisers on this podcast. So
that'd be cool.
That would be a thing that we can't really do one in the same. We can't continually just add songs and that kind of crap. So it does. There are some prohibitions in that world. Joe also wanted us to mention that Jason Galea, the artist who made all the album covers for King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, he's been making the album art since Eye in the Sky, according to Joe, of course. I don't know how much research he put into that, because he said also 12 Bars might be one of the albums that he created as well. So if you guys know any information on that and think Joe's wrong, let us know, because we would love nothing more than Joe to be absolutely wrong about this. So
totally okay with that.
Here at the King Gizzard, this is a learning podcast. There are things that we're not going to know, and there's things that you guys are going to know that we have no idea about, which is why we created this podcast as a mass communication for all the fans of King Gizzard and all the Gizverse humans and non-humans, all the lizards, all the wizards, the kings and the gizzards, all those people in the universe as well. Let us know what we're doing wrong and right and what we're mentioning, because we'd love to correct ourselves as well.
Yeah, but there's a couple fans in here, jabbing or gibber gabbing, whatever you want to call it, talking.
Gizzard gabbing?
Gizzard gabbing. Yes, dude. You nailed
it. Gizzard gabbing.
Gizzard gabbing.
Joe sent a text that I have to quote as well. He said, quote, Brian, y'all need me to fact check Holy fuck, Tommy is lying. That was a direct quote from Joe. I just want you guys to know how mean and cruel this individual is. I'm not lying about nothing, okay? At 5 a.m. he texted this drunker than hell while listening to the podcast. There's nothing that I can lie about on this podcast because it is my opinion that I'm stating. These are not facts, okay? These are things that I think and may be true or may not be true, okay? If you're listening, you know this. This is an opinion-based podcast. We're just talking about it, and it's meant for you guys to talk to us about it too. We are not gonna. What did you say? We don't have our degrees in King Gizzard?
Yeah, man, we don't have a King Gizzard PhD. So hopefully by the end of this podcast, you know what I mean. But by the end of a season 69, episode 497,000, we'll have it. But
420.
You get it? You know what I mean? Oops.
You understand what I did there?
Remember that?
But yeah, we don't have all the facts. I'm not lying, guys. Trust me. I'm not here to lie to you. I'm just here to spread the giz. Oh, that sounded weird.
Spread the giz all over your ears, guys. We're
all over your face, your chest area. Anyways, we do have to get out of here, guys. We're already over our time limit. No. We got to give out shout out to all the sponsors real quick. Our main sponsor right now, Orlando Studios. Thank you again. Shout out to you guys for letting us use your facilities to get this stuff done. I know you guys don't have to do this, and you're helping us out anyways. Stupid nice. Everything for all your podcasting needs, all your recording needs in Orlando. You want to go to Orlando Studios. Jackie and Mickey are beautiful human beings, and they helped us out a whole bunch putting this thing together, and we really appreciate it.
Super cool, guys. You guys are amazing.
Yeah, Mikey Bear. What's his Instagram? The guy, Mikey Bear McGrath, my man. He created the theme art for our podcast, the Gizzverse podcast. He drew that.
And him is that beautiful little cover photo you see drawn by the beautiful man Mikey Bear McGrath himself.
Yeah.
He will be helping us out in the future, also making us super cool things. He's got a little Christmas thing working on right now that him and his little Santa's helpers are plugging away on that I think you guys will really enjoy. Check it out.
Ooh.
Yes, check it out soon.
You're gonna tell them about that, huh? I wasn't even gonna tell them. That's crazy.
Maybe not.
Give them a little breadcrumbs.
Maybe I'm lying. I don't know. Maybe I'm lying.
That's nice. I like that. Yeah, we're gonna give you guys a little Christmas present. If you guys do love the art, check out Mikey's Instagram, like Brian mentioned, at Mikey Bear McGrath.
Yes.
McGrath. I'm gonna put it on. I'm gonna link it because spelling it's not gonna work, and I'll just link it to our stuff as well, so you guys can check it out directly there. I know some of you have already reached out to him, which he really appreciates, and we really appreciate. It's a symbiotic relationship, and we couldn't be happier with what's going on right now, and all the support that you guys have given us to kind of motivate us to keep going with this podcast and produce as much as we possibly can. Which is, again, why we're doing the show so early in comparison to what we initially thought we'd be doing. So thank you to all of our sponsors keeping us going. We do have stuff on social media to check us out on. Instagram, at Gizzverse Podcast on Instagram. Yes. Our Facebook, the Gizzverse Podcast. You can just look that up on the fan page, and that should pull it up. YouTube, the Gizzverse Podcast again. And also on SoundCloud, Gizzverse Podcast. You guys can check us out on all those forms of mediums. I guess that's what you call them, and definitely check it out. Like, subscribe, and please share it if you guys do like it. I know a few of you guys have been sharing it already, but if you do like it, there's nothing better than word of mouth.
Spread the word,
because people trust you guys more than anybody. They're not going to trust us to tell them that it's a good podcast.
We're good, I promise.
There's only a few of you guys that are going to actually go into it and venture that way. So if you don't mind sharing it, we'd greatly appreciate it. It would definitely help us out here in releasing more episodes in the future. And like I said, in the future, we're going to have you guys come on. We're going to interview you guys. We're probably going to have an interesting little episode where we do possibly inebriated. That was one of the other suggestions we had. Are you guys going to do a podcast? Yeah. Where you're completely loaded? Yes, we are going to do that in the future. We might call it Gizzverse After Dark or something like that. We don't know yet.
We'll probably do that whether we mean to or not one day, like on accident or something. I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
But we want to give you guys as much content as possible, and as well as staying kind of semi-formatted to our goals and agendas here, which is talking about King Gizzard, and also making it the whole surrounding universe within. So up next, we are going to be talking about Sketches of Brunswick East, the third release album this year from King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, as we go back in descending order and talk about all the albums. So,
So this
man,
is the
this has been a good time.
Would you say that this is the countdown to that episode?
This is the countdown. This is the
D-Day,
countdown.
maybe? You know what I mean?
From 11 to 1, this is the countdown. D-Day, baby. It's coming. It's coming. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. We really, really appreciate it. My name's Tommy O'Neill.
I am Brian Cintron.
This is the Gizzverse podcast. We'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.
We love you, baby. Yeah.